Who are the Gnostic goddesses? This is the 9th in my video series on Gnosticism for today. I want to give you a few examples of the more key Gnostic goddesses. There are quite a few of them. And before I do a little context, so in many Gnostic stories, God is held as beyond gender, beyond concept, beyond image. Ultimately mysterious, but God or source or the divine, however we want to put it, can take forms that are masculine, feminine, fluid, neither. It depends on the telling. So the goddesses are understood to be emanations of the divine. And they do most of the work in the stories. Sometimes the male demiurge gets busy, in quite a few stories actually, and there are male savior figures like Sethius and Jesus and a couple of others, but for the most part it's the goddesses that do a lot of the work, especially the work of awakening. So Barbelo is the Sethian name of one goddess. She's also sometimes called Silence and other names too. There's a Sethian image of stillness being the creative center of everything. Barbelo might mean the words God and then the number 4, as in the Tetragrammaton, YHWH. But in any case, she's sometimes appears as male, sometimes as fluid, but she is a high emanation of the ultimate God, a feminine emanation, and from her come other goddesses as well. So you'll read in these texts just a bunch of names, pronoia, epinoia, anoia, a bunch of others, Sophia. I'm not sure the distinctions are really that important. Some of the Gnostic interpreters and storytellers liked to make them, but I think they're all aspects of the divine feminine. They do have personal stories sometimes that are important, and I'll mention a few of those right now. So Sophia's story, and she's also referred to as pronoia. So in most of the Gnostic stories that feature her, she's involved with the creation of the universe and humanity. Sometimes it's described as a mistake. Sometimes it's described as the will of God. But in any case, she's the mother of the universe, and her sparks go into all of us. And so it's the task of the Gnostic to become conscious of this spark of the divine within, and at the end of our lives to add it to a treasury in heaven, in the pleroma, the wholeness. So the business of the Gnostic is to restore the lost wholeness of Sophia, to restore wisdom. And so there's a lot of stories where she is featured. On Earth, Eve shows up, also called Zoe, and connected to the divine feminine. She is an awakener, a healer. She's sometimes referred to as the messenger of light. And in a few stories, she tells Adam and the rest of us by implication, beware of the deep sleep. Noria is sometimes described as the daughter of Eve, the sister of Seth, the lover of Seth, depends on the telling. Noria is one of the more spirited goddesses who shows up very assertively. So in one story, the archons try to rape her and she calls out to God for help. And God sends the angel Elilith, whose name means understanding. And when Elilith appears, if an angel just showed up in front of you, I mean, wouldn't you feel like awe, respect, things like this? Noria goes, "Who are you?" I called out for God. And so Elilith is then forced to say, "I am Elilith. I am here to protect you and to help you and to introduce you to your divine root," which means her connection to the divine. So he gives her kind of this spiritual biography. But I like her spirit. In another story, she is present when Noah's building the first ark, and she asks if she can go aboard, and he says no, because no women allowed. Nothing feminine allowed on the ark. So she blows her breath on it and fire comes out of her and burns down the ark. So it forces Noah to build a second one. So I always imagine her coming up to him after that. Mind if I go aboard this time? Please. please. So one other I'll mention, Mary Magdalene was a wisdom figure in many Gnostic stories, and in a lot of them, including the Pistis Sophia, she's the only disciple that gets it. And she's often described as a co-teacher. So the word sometimes is companion. In the Gospel of Philip, there's this phrase where she kisses Jesus a lot, and the disciples are like, why is she doing that? But in any case, Mary Magdalene is a wisdom teaching figure in Gnosticism as well, revered by the Gnostics, if we can take what they said in their stories at face value. So I want to finish this by reading you a little bit of a document called Thunder Perfect Mind, a little passage at the beginning and at the end. It was discovered at Nag Hammadi, 1945. It's a 4th century document, but with traditions that go back further, I think. It's the divine feminine describing itself, and so it's thought to be Barbilo or Sophia, not much difference between them, talking about herself. And so this is what she has to say. And you can find this at gnosis.org if you want to look up the full document. It's Thunder Perfect Mind. More recent translation is just the thunder. I was sent forth from the power, and I have come to those who reflect upon me, and I have been found among those who seek after me. Look upon me, you who reflect upon me, and you hearers, hear me. You who are waiting for me, take me to yourselves, and do not banish me from your sight. And do not make your voice hate me, nor your hearing. Do not be ignorant of me anywhere or at any time. Be on your guard. Do not be ignorant of me. For I am the first and the last. I am the honored one and the scorned one. I am the whore and the holy one. I am the wife and the virgin. I am the mother and the daughter. I am the members of my mother. I am the barren one, and many are her sons. And so in a lot of this, she describes herself in terms of opposites that find a higher wholeness in her. It's as though she's also summing up all the contradictories in life as well. And so this is from the end of the, I'm not sure if it's a poem, it reads like a poem, but she says, give heed then, you hearers, and you also the angels, and those who have been sent, and you spirits who have arisen from the dead, for I am the one who alone exists, and I have no one who will judge me. For many are the pleasant forms which exist in numerous sins and incontinencies and disgraceful passions and fleeting pleasures which men embrace until they become sober and go up to their resting place. And they will find me there, and they will live, and they will not die again.